All right. Excuse the bumps and grinds. I'm just getting acclimated to the mini pod. On this Zenith 7S 529, we managed to pull the push button assembly out of it. Only 4 wires connected to it. That ground lead you see off the other end, these 2 here, which goes to your push button array, and this one over here that's a common, I think, to the switch. Now 3 of them. This brownish looking one here goes in here to the wafer switch, and the other 2 that you've seen off the end of this went up here to this position and this position. The other goes to the ground right there. Now once you do all that, you can extract that thing out. There's only 2 bolts right here, 2 bolts. Now the switch, we managed to get it out, and hopefully you'll be able to see the detail here. Now what I've done was, let me get my little pig sticker here, dig it out. There is these 2 caps here, these mica caps. The 350 cap goes to that one, and the 150 cap goes to this one. Now these 2 resistors over here went to the 2 taps. Oops, yeah. To these two taps on the volume switch, on the volume control. Now what I've done is I just snip the components right loose, rather than going in there and try to desolder it from one point or the other point. It's just simpler to snip them. And if you don't have enough lead on the thing, then just replace them. That is the simplest thing to do on this without generating a bunch of stress situations and trying to rework what's there. I have the mica caps that I can replace these with. Because if you can't replace a $3 item, don't even attempt it. Leave it on the shelf and let somebody else do it. I do it on all of these because I sell them. So and I don't always replace components just willy-nilly, unless it's just going to be a simpler situation to do it, to bypass all the stress of trying to rework an old part back in. So that is what I would suggest. If you can't afford it, don't do it. That would be just the easiest, stressless thing to do. And let somebody else deal with it in the future. Most of the people that I see freak on having to replace a component here or there. They either don't have it or they don't. I got a well-stocked kitchen that I can draw from. And since I've done 8 of these, well, this one here is the 8th. Since I've done 7 others of these, I know what goes into these things, and I make sure that if I got one scheduled to do, I got all the parts that I need for it, and I don't have to sweat having having to order something a few at a time, because I try to get them in quantities of 5 or 10 or 25 or whatever, and that way I'll always have them. Even if you don't need them in every radio, you always have them standby. So you can draw from that. You don't have to sit around and wait. Knock wood. Knock knock. Yeah, some of it I've had to play the waiting game because of one situation or another. But that's the way I do it. And you don't have to do it this my way, but I found with these it's just easier to do. I make sure I have all the wire. I have gone through my wire stash and drawn everything out that I need for this radio. I even have some stuff in standby over there on the shelf. So we're ready to rock on this one. Here's all the clippings off of those tone wires right there. There's one there, there's the blue one, there's the gray one. The resistors are part of the tone circuit. They go to the volume control. And that red one down there and that yellow one down there. The one with the shielding and the braiding on the thing, it ties into here, and the other goes to ground. The braiding goes to ground. The gray leads you see here, those are B- leads. They go out to the tone on both sides, for the bass side and for the treble side. So now that we got the switch out, we're going to open it up and clean it. I do have some Deoxit F5 that I've used on a number of controls. Most other controls, you probably won't encounter a problem or an issue with spraying this in and rotating your knob a few times to get it cleaned up. On these Zeniths, I would say use caution. Sometimes this here will cause these things to fail. The Deoxit F, the other Deoxit D5, do not use them on Zenith controls. Tone controls you can use them on probably without too much of an issue, and wafers, band switches and everything else like that, but anything else, beware. Don't ask me how I know. So here we go. We're going to open this up. Give me a minute to get this thing set back in place, and we will get to it. Now, what you can do is you can go through. There are two caps that go to these lugs on the volume, and a gray that goes to B-. I am going to take and remove the capacitors from here and the leftover wires. There we go. Now we're back to just lugs. Okay, there's this. There's that. Now we will take the mounting ring off of it and the separator, the insulator, and you'll see tabs here, tabs there. This ring here will come loose from the rest of the stuff. So I use flush cuts, an old pair of flush cuts, in order to get underneath these tabs to open them up, because if you go prying them on them in just a little way, you'll find that now make sure that the switch is in the off position, and I imagine you can find your way back to 0 point. Usually there's not a problem with the off-on switch, but you see the band that goes around the inside right there. That thing there rubs along this side of the thing. That is your potentiometer right there, and it's tied to that lug and that lug. Now you can hose this out with some of that F5 fader stuff, but I would not do too much other to it, other than turn it upside down and let it drain. To get the wiper out of it, you'll have to remove this little C ring right here, and it can be a booger. So what I would suggest is putting it down on a rag or something. Putting it down on a rag in a position to where you can manage dealing with it, and get yourself a couple of picks like these, whatever your preferences are, and take and go between them and try to separate the C-ring so that you can remove it. Come on, yeah, that's it. The rag is to keep the ring, the little ring, from shooting off into la la land. And now this thing, this indexing ring will come off, and this will slide out. And there you can see all the, well, I think you can, all the ick and stuff that builds up on the wiper. Not so much here, but here. There's not much there that can go wrong, but it will go wrong if you're not careful. So anyway, that is it for taking this switch and volume control apart. I'd say do the sequence in reverse in order to put it back. This sleeve here slides onto that thing, and this C-clip right here goes on the back side of that, and that keeps that thing from coming off. Well, if you pull this first, then you can extract the volume control assembly out of there with a little less of an issue. So anyway, that's it for that. The next thing will be, let's see, what will the next thing be? The prerequisites to do in order to get the wafer switch assembly out without too much heartbreak. Yeah, it's going to be a major undertaking. They all are, but this ensures a good working radio in the end. So, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We'll have more later.